Hey, welcome back to the Mobility Project. We are here with a special guest today, the originator, my pocket gymnast, Carl Powley, superstar. You guys have probably been to GymnasticsWOD.com now. If you haven't, you're missing out you're missing basically the most key tool to how understanding basic body movements helps your athleticism. And I think is that a fair way to describe this?
That's definitely a fair way.
You know, not gymnastics for that prissy gymnastics. Look at my iron cross. I hate that stuff. This is gymnastics to be more badass, okay? That's what this is about. So today we've got a special guest. We have his NACA crew, and you can check that out at NACAteen.com.
NACAathletics.com.
NACAathletics.com. Anyway, okay, so here we go. Carl Powley.
So Kelly finally upgraded, and he got a new spokesmodel for MobilityWOD.com. And we're going to be able to take some basic gymnastics flexibility that we see in any kind of a artistic gymnastics facility, and we're going to try to apply it to teenagers that practice different sports. We have, what do we have? We have is it soccer, or do you play basketball too? Soccer, what do you have?
Soccer, basketball.
Basketball. Used to do some gymnastics. He doesn't want to admit it, but he did. And Muay Thai, so a little martial arts. So all these guys, as you know now, have to have some sort of mobility. But we can also take an extreme where we actually simplify the movement, where we no longer just we have two joints working, we actually just maximize one joint and emphasize every single corner like Kelly talks about all the time. And just by taking it to simple stretching that we see in gymnastics. So the goal is to cut down on variables, but hit all the corners that we possibly can in the hip joint. So the first thing we're going to do is a pancake split. So all we're going to do is take a seat. Go ahead and take a seat, guys. Find a little space so you have some space there. What I want you guys to do is legs nice and straight, toes pointed. Go ahead and straddle the legs as far out as you can. The goal here is to point your toes. If you're seeing that the toes want to start caving in, we want to get that external rotation going. We're going to go for a nice flat back. If you have jeans on, it's not a very smart move, especially if you're going to try to do gymnastics. If you have shoes on, it's maybe going to be a little hard to point your toe, but we're looking for that nice extension of the leg. And what I want them to do now is just get a nice flat back, squeeze your belly tight, and I want to see if you can put your hands right next to your hips and just hinge in that hip and see how far down you can go without losing your back position. So that back should stay flat the whole time. What we want to think about is keeping a nice neutral spine from hips all the way up to your head and see how far we can go. The goal is actually to get your chest to the ground, and you can see that these young athletes right now are actually missing a little range. So this is just another way of pointing out that we need to work on this stuff, and we can get great gains from just working on that. So that's your pancake split, very simple.
How long should we work on that, Carl?
2 minutes ideally.
Should we do contract, relax, or just hang out?
You can do any way you want. You can hang in there, you can go contract, relax, you can roll in and out of it, you can have a little buddy work with you, pushing you from behind a little bit, but without going too crazy. But 2 minutes is ideal. See,
what?
Hob is already suffering.
Dude, suffer, baby.
What's going on?
Pain makes you beautiful. We give you what you want.
So I think that's a very basic one to start with. The next one would be a middle split, where we take this, and this is kind of on steroids now, and what we can do is...
Woo! Steroids! Stay off drugs, kids.
If we have an unflexible group of people, what we do is the following. We're going to get Wiley to go ahead and stand up. Put your hands right here for me, and all I want you to do is straight legs. See if you can slide yourself down into a split there.
And what'd you call this, Carl?
Just a middle split. So the goal here is to keep the legs straight. Same thing. We can keep that box a little bit closer. And here we're looking for the same thing we were doing earlier, just trying to get a big straddle. But instead of having flexion in the hip, now the hip is fully extended. As you can see, this thing is pretty tight. Can you go further than that? Nope. There's nothing else going. Where do you feel tightness going on here? So depending on who you are, you're going to really start pointing out where those tight little spots are, and that's when you can go into more specific stuff, and Kelly can actually help you with some other things. But middle split's very simple. 2 minutes, try to hold that, do some money. Key thing here is if you look at it from the side, this is another thing that Kelly points out a lot. We see that overextended position. Belly should be nice and tight. Active butt before you even get in there. Quad is on, trying to get that kneecap back as far as you can. And ideally, as you go a little further, you try to get that into triple extension, okay? Especially here, that hip is open. Toe should be pointed. Nice, big straddle. That's your middle split, 2 minutes. Next one. Now we're going to go into a right leg split or a left leg split. We'll use you with your jeans. So can you show us a right leg split? Do you remember what that looks like? Just like that, yeah. So he goes into a low lunge. So go down to one knee. he's going to extend the front leg, and now he's going to try to slide himself down as far as he can. He has jeans on right now, so it's kind of hard. But the goal is leg straight, try to slide forward as far as you can, keeping that leg straight, hips nice and square. So if you look at it from the side, you'll see that back hip, or the leg that's an extension, that hip that's an extension is going to want to rotate back. And this is key thing when we're starting to work on anything overhead in a split stance. We lose a lot of that positioning just by having a tight hip flexor. So we're trying to drive this hip down, squared out, and then this is where the magic happens. You'll see that he's already starting to get tired, so we're going to ask him to have chest up tall. That's going to be hard. And now, if you get a little buddy, we can actually do this. I can hold his hand, and I'm asking you to ask him to try to get that knee off the ground. So see if you can squeeze that knee off the ground and just balance in that position.
Oh, no means no, Carl.
No problem. Another thing to do that you can do that makes it even better for you is you put a box here, and that just locks his leg in, and then you can have another buddy come in and help him from the back, and you'll see that he gets a nice happy face where that hip starts ripping apart. Another thing to think about is always belly tight. He's always doing the dance, the little worm dance, and this is the money. Both legs, right leg and left leg, try to get the back leg straight off the ground, hip as square as you can, rib cage tight. 2 minutes, both sides. I think if you get those splits, you'll see a big difference in all the other stuff you do in performance. Keep in touch.